Well, y'all, we have come to the end of 2022, and while that feels kind of odd to say, and kind of odd in a sense that, wow, 2022 kind of just disappeared into the rearview mirror, it literally went by so fast, I think it's really important that we not only make a end of year roundup video, but that I also talk to you guys about some things behind the scenes that have happened and gone on this year, and also talk to you guys about some behind the scenes stuff in relation to the channel that went on in 2022 and some of my plans moving forward into 2023. Now, I want you guys to be as big of a part of this conversation as I am in terms of talking to y'all. So if you have any thoughts, opinions, or anything that you would like to share, make sure you leave all of those thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in to our 2022 roundup video. Now, at the end of the year, YouTube sends you a little snapshot, basically, where they kind of put together a little list of everything that you did during that year. And I want to share some of them with you guys because some of them are absolutely wild and others are kind of things that I didn't actually expect. And we'll go over one of my most unexpected things about 2022 first. My most unexpected thing about 2022 in terms of, wrapping everything up for the year was that my most watched live stream in 2022 was actually a No Limit Drag Racing 2.0 live stream. Now, obviously, we did more live streams on other games than No Limit Drag Racing, but in terms of one individual stream, a No Limit Drag Racing 2.0 stream was more interacted with and was watched by more people individually on that stream than any of my other individual streams throughout 2022 on SnowRunner or Off-Road Outlaws or other games. It was a No Limit Drag Racing 2.0 stream. And I am insanely grateful to you guys that y'all made that stream so big. But what's even crazier to me is that game in terms of stream engagement was more than so many of the other games that I've been playing for so long. It just really blows my mind. And if we go and look at that actual stream itself, that one stream right now anyway, at the time of recording this video, has just under 200,000 views on just that one stream, which is insane for a No Limit Drag Racing 2.0 stream. Now, as far as the videos that y'all absolutely just pushed through the roof this year, the biggest one was the SnowRunner small, medium, large, huge, and massive video, where we essentially had Megabus all the way at the end and a bunch of other trucks kind of creeping up in size to the size of Megabus. And that video, you guys watched that video now over 1 million times. Absolutely just mind-blowingly insane. And behind that video, in terms of second and third place, were Megabus versus Rockrunner's Mud Park and the Escape the Monster Truck Challenge with Diesel. So those three were the biggest videos in 2022. And interestingly, the top three biggest videos on my channel in 2022 were SnowRunner videos. However, again, I'm going back to this previous point, while the top three largest videos on the channel this year were SnowRunner, the largest live stream was No Limit Drag Racing 2.0. Isn't that wild? I mean, it's almost strange when you think about it, or at least when I think about it. It's almost odd. It really, really is. Now, at this point, I would like to move ahead into a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about in terms of the channel and the approach that we're taking moving into 2023. And I feel like we can't really talk about the future of the channel without talking about SnowRunner. Now, SnowRunner, as you guys know, has been a staple of the channel ever since its release. And it's been a very, very interesting game. It's been a game that has definitely not been without its share of growing pains on really a lot of different sides. On the development side, on the modding side, and honestly, on the content creation side, from the standpoint of someone that has created a ton of content on SnowRunner and has been not only with the series for a long time, but with SnowRunner basically since before it even came out. And I feel like I have a lot of interesting insight on this series because I've been a fan of this series ever since the Spin Tires tech demo, and then into Spin Tires, and then in all the way through Mud Runner, and then now all the way up to now from launch in SnowRunner. And SnowRunner has been a very interesting game because you had the initial, obviously, like the initial explosion that you get around a game's launch. And keep in mind, this is all from the standpoint of a streamer, a content creator, so your experience might be a little bit different. But moving back into the previous topic, SnowRunner obviously had that insane explosion around launch, and then it really, honestly, grew and maintained for quite a while. And then moving on to sort of the midway point of SnowRunner, things got a little bit interesting. And I think that once the decision was made to separate the console mods in terms of platform, and then you had next-gen mods, last-gen mods, all these different things that ended up getting segmented, I think you had a large part of the community that just genuinely didn't understand what was going on, and were also legitimately upset about what was going on. And I think, I haven't really talked about this much until now, but I was honestly really upset too, because I get hundreds of questions about SnowRunner every day, and it kind of made me sad to see so many people getting in touch saying, what happened to this mod? I used it forever and now it's gone. And, I don't think the development team did a very good job at all really prepping people for that or making that known. And I know that there is that side of kind of the argument, that side of the fence that is very like, well, mods are just a little extra side part of the game. The base game itself is what we need to care about, and the mods can kind of be there or not be there. But here's the thing. We know from the days of Spin Tires, even back in the tech demo, into the release, into Mud Runner, into SnowRunner, that modding is one of the driving forces behind this series, and it always has been. And frankly, I believe it always will be. Because imagine all the scenarios that we wouldn't be able to create if we didn't have the modding community, if we didn't have these mod creators that went out of their way to make these mods. And, because a lot of them, sure, there are some that are also, let's say they also stream, they also make content, but there are some mod creators that genuinely, just do it on their spare time, they've got all sorts of other things going on in their lives, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna spend some time making some mods today, and, maybe the community will enjoy it, and they'll get some enjoyment out of the things that I love creating. And I think that that's the beauty of what has made this community what it is. And I think that when some people lost access to that, when so many mods were kind of split away, I think that kind of left a little bit of a lasting impression on people, and some of them didn't even want to come back to the game. And I can actually personally attest to this because around the same time, and this is part of, the natural flow of creating content on the internet. This is not, I'm not saying that this is because of anything or another, but it's just part of that interesting flow. When that update that segmented the mods and basically made it so that so many mods were kind of pulled away from different platforms on consoles, I actually noticed a sizable shift in people that were watching different types of videos. Because I think that once people were like, oh, that mod and that mod and that mod that I used to use all the time are now just gone, I think that it shows where their interests went, because a lot of them were like, I don't want to play this game anymore. And, when you look at it in that kind of a sense, it's weird. It's not weird in a bad way. It's very, very interesting because, again, you'll have so many people that will say, oh, the mods are just kind of a side thing or an afterthought. They're not the driving force. Yes, they are. And I'm honestly, I'll go out on a limb and say that. I'll go out on a limb and stand right here and say that. And, not only will I stand right here and say that, but I'll stand here and say that from the standpoint of seeing that in the back end in terms of engagement and viewership on certain types of videos. It really does show how big of a driving force not only the mods have been, but how broadly console modding has expanded the view, and the eyes on this game, and that when some of those mods that people really latched onto weren't there on their mod browser anymore, they put the game down. And it's so insane when you think about it in that space, but I really want to talk about this because I think there's so much back and forth about it, but I feel like I can really provide some valuable insight on the topic itself. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, I honestly always want to be as genuine with y'all as I possibly can here on the channel because, I really do have such a deep, massive deal of appreciation for y'all. Like, it's what y'all have allowed me to build here is genuinely insane. If I look back on the last 10, 11 years, it's truly insane and incredible what y'all have allowed me to create and have allowed me to share with all of you. And because of that, I want to not only repay y'all with all of the content and the streams that we did throughout the year and all of the stuff that I plan to do going forward, but I also want to be as genuine as I can with y'all. And I think part of being genuine is sharing these things. I think part of being genuine is, is being able to talk about things that might, maybe come off a little odd or may come off as like, why are you talking about this? And I'm like, honestly, because it's all part of being genuine. So then we kind of reach a point of where do we go from there, right? Where do we go from there? Where are we going into the future? And what are the plans moving forward? Well, the Runner series is always going to remain a part of my channel. It's always going to remain a part of this channel. I know that, and I've kind of always known that. Ever since Spin Tires and Mud Runner and all the way up until SnowRunner, I know SnowRunner has been kind of a rocky game, especially throughout this past year. It's been a little bit weird. There have been a lot of people that have been upset with SnowRunner, and there have been a lot of people that have frankly, kind of been like, oh, I don't want to play this game, or I want to play this game instead. But I think there is still that core group of people that knows where the series came from and knows where it can go in the future. Now, do we know where the Runner series is going in the future? No. Apart from a couple of things that have been sort of teased about the next season of DLC and potentially like a new vanilla in-game vehicle, like I think it's a new 8x8. A new Oshkosh 8x8, which is really freaking cool, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking out into the future, right? I'm thinking way ahead, like next game ahead. And I really don't think anybody knows where this series is going. And I think it's important that we explore other games. I think it's important that we, kind of expand the channel into new spaces because we really don't know where the Runner series is going. And I think that in terms of this past year especially showed me that. This past year especially showed that we don't know what the future of the Runner series is, and we don't know what the future of that game is. And the interesting part about it is that there really aren't many other games out there like it. There really are no other games out there that provide that same kind of physics experience, with the ground and the terrain. But here's the thing. Yes, I know that there is that core group of people that will come back to the Runner series no matter what because of the terrain deformation and the physics, but I think this past year in particular proved that if the game itself and the modding and the community was not managed in the best way, people will go to other games regardless of how good the terrain deformation physics are. And so with that being said, I think it really does open us up as a channel to many new directions we can take. Of course, always keeping the Runner series as a part of the channel. Now, let me talk about Off-Road Outlaws for a little bit. Off-Road Outlaws is a different beast entirely, and I love Off-Road Outlaws. Off-Road Outlaws is such an interesting game, and Off-Road Outlaws is interesting because it's one of those games where if you don't play it for like a week or so or a couple of weeks or so on the channel, I will get a lot of questions saying, why don't you play Off-Road Outlaws anymore? What happened to Off-Road Outlaws? Are you ever going to play Off-Road Outlaws again? And absolutely I am. And here's the thing also, I have been using Off-Road Outlaws gameplay to highlight a lot of the news that we've been seeing about the upcoming American Marksman game, but in terms of dedicated Off-Road Outlaws gameplay, Off-Road Outlaws is weird because, and I say it's weird from the standpoint of engagement because Off-Road Outlaws has done a lot of like, it'll do massive climb, massive drop, massive climb, massive drop, and I don't know why Off-Road Outlaws is that way. Like, some games will climb and maintain or climb steady, and that will kind of be how they are. Off-Road Outlaws is a lot more like here. And it's very weird in that respect because it can be very unpredictable. And I want all of you guys that are interested in Off-Road Outlaws to be able to see it. But the problem whenever I seem to stream or post Off-Road Outlaws is that a lot of people they'll find it later and they'll be like, I never saw this when you posted it, or I never saw this when you started streaming it. And I get a lot more of those for Off-Road Outlaws specifically than I do for most other games. And so I wonder if there's something weird in terms of like the distribution algorithm in relation to Off-Road Outlaws content. It's not going to stop me from making or providing Off-Road Outlaws content. It's just a little bit of insight that I wanted to share with y'all when it comes to Off-Road Outlaws, because I've gotten a lot of questions about Off-Road Outlaws specifically. So where does that put the channel heading into 2023? Well, it puts us in a very interesting spot because it's actually going to require me to do two interesting things. One, make sure that we continue to provide the content for the series that, like all the different series of games that we have been providing for a long time that you guys still love and enjoy, while also refiring that creative aspect and diving into new spaces, because it's more important now. I don't know why that for whatever reason I couldn't get that sentence out, but it's now more important than ever, I think, to refire that creative aspect and dive into new spaces. As it's just as important as continuing to dive even deeper into the spaces that we have created. But that is going to do it for this roundup video of 2022. And I want to say a massive thanks to each and every one of y'all for making this year what it was. This year was a year of not only growing and interacting, but also learning. And it really actually made me dive back into like kind of a lot of the learning aspects of really this entire platform and this entire channel. It made me dive deeper into the learning aspects of it than ever before. And honestly, I think it was a really interesting challenge. Like, this year's been such an interesting year. And while I have no idea what 2023 is going to bring, I can tell you one thing. We're absolutely gonna give it our best shot. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's absolutely going to be it's going to be an incredible year no matter what, and we're going to be diving into it full force, or full beans, as I guess we would say on this channel. But once again, massive thanks to each and every one of y'all, and I hope that your 2022 was a great one. That's going to do it for this video. I'm going to sign off, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.